Happy nearly Christmas, everybody. This week's declaration is I am free from comparing myself to others. And I think as we get close to Christmas, this one is totally vital. Last minute preparations are being made, presents are being bought, turkeys are being prepared, and how easy is it to look to the left and right to what everybody else is doing and feel rubbish and inadequate and like your Christmas is not going to be good enough. Well, may not happen for you, that happened for me this week, which is why I ended up on that declaration. Basically, I love Christmas. And I also love presents. Presents are one of my love languages. So giving and receiving presents are both very exciting things for me at Christmas. And my mum, Father Christmas, has been amazing at giving us presents all of these years. Even into adulthood, she still does phenomenal stockings. So I really look forward to that. But this year, very understandably, Father Christmas has gone on strike. We have 13 people descending on my parents' house for Christmas. And so the decision has been made that couples should do stockings for each other rather than my mum doing them all. Very wise. But do you know what? A certain fear and dread and panic swept upon me when I heard this. Because my first thought was, what happens if my siblings' stockings for each other are really good and mine and Dom's are rubbish? Now, this is quite embarrassing, especially if any of my family watch this video. But it's true. I thought, Dom's really busy with a bunch of outreaches leading up to Christmas. I've never really navigated shopping with a toddler. We're a bit low on cash at the moment. Like, what happens if we have embarrassingly bad stockings and we have to open them in front of everyone? And I feel rubbish and like a silly pauper. And so I was kind of, feeling suddenly worried about this whole thing rather than excited. Now, the crazy thing is, it then turns out that one set of my siblings, the ones who I thought might have the really super stockings, have decided they don't even want to do stockings for each other at all. They don't want to buy each other a whole load of things that they don't need. And so they're not even doing it. So the first thing that I realised out of this whole escapade is that worry. How often are we worrying about things that don't even come to pass? Worry is a total waste of time. But the second thing that stuck out to me was about comparison. And that's what I want to talk about today. Comparison is the thief of joy, as Roosevelt said. You know, it is a total robber. One of my favourite verses, this was my baptism verse, was Hebrews 12:2. Since then, we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses. Let us run our race, throwing off the sin that entangles, everything that hinders. Let us persevere with our eyes fixed on Jesus. And that inspired the declaration that comes just after I'm free from comparing myself to others, which is this one, I'm free to run my race. There you go. You've got the cloud of witnesses in the back and you've got the girl running her race. And I love this because it's this idea of keeping our eyes fixed on Jesus rather than looking to the left and the right. How often are we tempted to compare ourselves to how everyone else is doing, how they're progressing? At school, it's what is everyone else's grades rather than just focusing, keeping in your lane, doing the best you can with what you've got. We can waste our time looking to the left and the right. And you see it, like, oh my goodness, going to sports day of little preschoolers and watching them. They end up almost running in circles and running backwards because they're kind of looking everywhere rather than straight ahead. But how do we win the race well? We look straight ahead. So that's the first thing about comparison, is not looking to the left and the right. Second, all it does is comparison leads to envy. James 3:16. For where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there will be disorder and every vile practice. Proverbs 14:30. A tranquil heart gives life to the flesh, but envy makes the bones rot. How gross. I don't want rotten bones this Christmas, so Lord, please deliver me from any envy. Thirdly, we don't live for people, and comparison can be fueled by wanting people's approval rather than what Hebrews talks about of keeping our eyes fixed on Jesus. Galatians 1:10 says, am I saying this now to win the approval of people or God? If I was still trying to please people, I would not be Christ's servant. Right? That is black and white about people pleasing. When we're people pleasing, we're not actually serving God. we're serving people. Lord, deliver us from people pleasing. And finally, contentment. Comparison is a thief of contentment as well. And we know that contentment is the biggest treasure. 1 Timothy 6, verse 6 to 8. Now there is great gain in godliness with contentment. For we brought nothing into this world, and we cannot take anything out of the world. But if we have food and clothing, with these we will be content. So I bless you this Christmas to keep your eyes fixed on Jesus, not looking to the left or right. Whatever anybody else's incredible Christmas tree looks like, their Instagram photos of their Christmas dinner, the presents that they've been able to give their children. I bless you to be free, knowing that you don't need the approval of man. You've got the approval of your Heavenly Father, the love of your Heavenly Father, and you will know great joy, great peace, and great contentment as you keep your eyes fixed on Him and your heart fixed on Him rather than what everybody else is up to.